My name's Daniel. I'm 24 years old, and this is the story I've never told anyone. I call it My Girlfriend's Mom Said, She Doesn't Deserve You. I Do. Even saying those words in my head feels wrong, like I've stepped into a place I shouldn't have. But life has a way of dragging you into rooms you never thought you'd enter. And once you're inside, you can't unsee what's there. It started 2 years ago, when I met Emily at the marketing firm where we both worked in downtown Chicago. She was 22 then, fiery, ambitious, with a laugh that carried across the office floor like it had been bottled straight from summer. I fell fast, faster than I should have, but when you're young and hungry for something real, you don't question the fall. We dated quietly for the first 6 months, slipping out of the office separately, pretending to be just colleagues. But secrets at work don't last long, and eventually the whispers started. Her friends teased her, my boss gave me knowing looks, but none of it mattered. By the time a year rolled around, Emily had moved into my apartment. That's when I met her mother. Her name was Claire, and if I'm honest, I wasn't prepared for her. She was 43, though she carried herself with the kind of poise that made you question numbers. Tall, elegant, eyes that could soften and harden in the same second, the kind of presence that makes you sit up straighter without realizing it. She'd been a single mom for most of Emily's life, working as a corporate attorney, and everything about her radiated control. The first dinner we had together, Claire studied me in a way that wasn't cruel but wasn't exactly kind either. Like she was measuring the weight of my words, my gestures, my place at her daughter's side. "So, Daniel," she asked, after a long silence over roasted chicken and wine, "what exactly do you see in Emily?" Emily nearly choked on her drink. "Mom," but I looked Claire in the eyes and answered honestly, "Everything." Her lips twitched, like she wanted to smile but refused. She just nodded, almost to herself. "We'll see." Months passed. On the surface, things with Emily were good. We were climbing at work, often staying late together on campaigns, riding the wave of young love and ambition. But beneath it, cracks began to form. She became distant, distracted, buried in her phone at night. Arguments sparked over small things. Laundry, deadlines, who forgot to lock the door. She accused me of being too serious, too focused on the future, while I accused her of not caring enough. It was during one of those low stretches that Claire called me. Out of nowhere. "Daniel, it's Claire. I was wondering if you could help me move some boxes this weekend. Emily's busy, and I could use a hand." I hesitated, it felt odd, too personal, but I agreed. Maybe helping her mom would score me a few unspoken points with Emily. That Saturday, I drove to Claire's house, a glass and brick modern place on the lake, the kind that whispers old money but insists it's modest. She greeted me at the door with a glass of iced tea and a smile that felt different. Not the tight, lawyerly one she'd shown at dinners. Softer, warmer. The boxes weren't heavy. Most were filled with books, old case files, photographs. But what struck me wasn't the work. It was the silence. The way she lingered near me, asking questions about my life, about my dreams, about things Emily never asked anymore. At one point, I sat down to catch my breath, and she sat across from me, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You're different, Daniel," she said quietly. I laughed nervously. Different good or different bad? Her eyes locked on mine. Good. Too good. I didn't know what to say. After that day, things shifted. Claire texted me sometimes, small things, an article she thought I'd like, a thank you for the boxes, a question about a campaign she'd seen our firm run. I told myself it was harmless. But one evening, after another fight with Emily, this time about her staying out late with colleagues and not telling me, I found myself driving. Not to my apartment, not to a friend's place, but to Claire's house. She opened the door like she'd been waiting. "Rough night?" she asked. I nodded. My chest felt heavy. She poured me a drink, sat beside me on the couch and listened. Really listened. No judgment, no interruptions. Just those sharp, intelligent eyes cutting through me like she saw everything I was afraid to admit. When I finally trailed off, she leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "She doesn't deserve you, Daniel." The room froze, and then she said it. Slowly, deliberately, I do. My heart slammed against my ribs. I pulled back, searching her face for some trace of a joke, a smirk, a wink, but there was nothing, just raw, dangerous sincerity. I stood up, my pulse racing. Claire, she touched my hand. Firm, certain. Don't pretend you haven't felt it. I see the way you look at me, the way you feel when we're alone. You don't have to lie. I yanked my hand away like it burned. My throat was dry. My brain screamed, leave now. But my legs didn't move. Because the worst part, the part I've never forgiven myself for, is that she was right. I had felt something, a flicker, buried under layers of guilt and denial. And now it was out in the open. That night changed everything. I didn't tell Emily. How could I? But I couldn't look at Claire the same way again. Every family dinner, every holiday, every accidental brush of her hand felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting for the ground to give way. And the ground was cracking fast. After that night at Claire's house, I thought I could bury what happened. I convinced myself it was just a strange, drunken confession, a moment of weakness for her and a lapse in judgment for me. But lies rot fast. The next week at work, I noticed how differently Emily looked at me, like she could sense something was off. She'd ask questions with this sharp edge in her voice. Where were you last night? Why do you seem distracted? Are you hiding something from me, Daniel? And the more she pushed, the more I pulled away. Because every time she touched me, all I could think about was her mother's words echoing in my head. She doesn't deserve you. I do. One evening, we were working late at the office. The glow of our monitors, the hum of printers, the city lights bleeding through the glass windows. It all felt like a stage. Emily leaned back in her chair and said, almost out of nowhere, "Do you even want this anymore?" Us? I froze. Of course I do, I said, but the words sounded rehearsed. She studied me with a sadness that scared me more than her anger ever did. You're lying. I can feel it. A few days later, Claire called me again. Daniel, can you stop by tonight? I need help with something in the garage. I almost said no. I should have said no. But some sick, tangled part of me wanted to see her again. To test myself. To prove that I was stronger than whatever strange pull existed between us. When I arrived, she was in a silk blouse and jeans, casual but calculated. The garage door was open, but there were no boxes this time. Just her standing there with 2 glasses of wine. I don't need help with anything, she admitted. I just wanted to see you. I felt my stomach twist. Claire, this has to stop. But she stepped closer, her voice low, steady. Tell me you don't feel it, Daniel. Look me in the eyes and tell me. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Because deep down, I couldn't. She smiled faintly like she'd won. I knew it. That was the moment everything started unraveling. Emily found one of Claire's texts on my phone a week later. Just a simple message, thinking of you. But it was enough. She stormed into my apartment, her eyes blazing. What the hell is this, Daniel? Why is my mother texting you at 2 in the morning? I stumbled, reaching for words that didn't exist. It's not what you think. Oh, really? She snapped. Then what is it? Silence. And that silence was louder than any confession. The fallout was brutal. Emily left me that night, slamming the door so hard the frame cracked. She blocked my number, cut me off completely at work, and within a month, she'd requested a transfer to another branch. But the worst part wasn't losing her. It was what came after. Claire kept calling. First, I ignored her. But the guilt, the loneliness, it gnawed at me. And one night, against every shred of reason, I picked up. Daniel, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt her, but she doesn't understand you. Not the way I do. I hated her for saying it. I hated myself for listening. And yet, part of me believed her. Because in some twisted way, she did understand me. She knew how to pierce straight through my defenses, how to make me feel seen when I was drowning in shame. And that's how it began, the secret meetings, the stolen hours. A relationship I never asked for, but one I didn't resist either. But secrets don't stay hidden. One night, Emily showed up at my apartment unannounced. I wasn't home, I was at Claire's. She must have noticed my car in her mother's driveway, because the next morning, she sent me a single text, "You're dead to me," and just like that, everything collapsed. The months that followed were a blur of regret and self-loathing. Claire wanted more, talked about a future, about us being finally free. But the truth? Every time I looked at her, all I saw was Emily's face. The hurt, the betrayal, the love I destroyed. One night, I told Claire I couldn't do it anymore, that whatever we thought we had was built on lies and ashes. Her expression hardened, the warmth vanishing. "You'll regret this," she said coldly. "You'll realize someday that I was the only one who truly wanted you." And then she walked away. I never saw either of them again. Looking back now, years later, the lesson is carved into me like a scar. Temptation disguised as understanding will destroy you faster than hatred ever could. I thought love was about being seen, about finding someone who noticed the parts of me no one else did. But I learned too late that real love isn't about being understood in moments of weakness. It's about being forgiven in moments of failure. Emily could have forgiven me for being flawed, but she could never forgive me for betraying her with the one person she trusted most. And I don't blame her, because if I were her, I wouldn't forgive me either. When I told Claire it was over, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just looked at me with those cold, calculating eyes and said, "You think you can walk away from this? From me?" I thought she was bluffing, just another manipulation. But within a week, my life began to unravel. At work, rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers about me sleeping my way into promotions, about unethical behavior with clients. None of it was true, but the timing was too perfect. My boss called me into his office, his face grim. "Daniel, this firm values integrity above all else. Until we clear this up, you're suspended." I knew exactly who had pulled the strings. Claire had connections everywhere. Judges, CEOs, politicians. To her, destroying me would be child's play. And then came Emily. One night, after weeks of silence, she showed up at my apartment. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she shoved a stack of photos into my chest. Pictures of me and Claire, at her house, at a restaurant, at my car, parked outside her place in the middle of the night. "I thought I hated you," Emily whispered, "but now I just pity you. You were nothing more than her puppet." I opened my mouth, desperate to explain, but she was already gone. The sound of her footsteps down the hall was the last time I ever heard her. Claire called me the next day. "You see," she said softly, "now you have no one else. Just me." Her words made my skin crawl. She didn't sound angry. She sounded satisfied, like this was always her plan. To isolate me, to claim me, to make me hers, not through love, but through destruction. That night, I sat in my dark apartment, the walls closing in. My phone buzzed with her name, over and over, like a curse I couldn't escape. And I realized the truth. This wasn't love. It was entrapment. She didn't want me because she loved me. She wanted me because she couldn't stand the idea of anyone else having me. Not even her own daughter. I changed my number, quit my job, moved states. But sometimes, when I walk home late at night, I still feel it, the weight of someone's eyes on me. And every time my phone rings from an unknown number, a chill runs down my spine, because I know one day, Claire will find me again. And when she does, I'm not sure I'll escape twice.